Okay, so you really want to know, huh? Fine. I'm gonna start by telling you this. And this is important, so listen up. Your entire life, this one and many others, you've been a god who uses its absolute power to make yourself powerless. Entire cultures, especially this one, have all been afraid of their weaknesses, supposedly, when in reality, they've all been afraid of their power. This goes beyond the matrix of reality. This is something much deeper than that. This is eternal. This is fully realizing your consciousness. This is infinite. This is evolution. This is our divine right.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the podcast today. I'm really excited. Missed you all last week, but I'm really happy to be back. I have an awesome guest. And before we get started, I just have a couple of things I want to talk about. First and foremost, hey, this is brought to you by Content Safe. All these crazy people out there, you don't know what's going to happen to your content. You put it out there into the world and it's there. And, maybe somebody says, hey, this is not appropriate. This does not comply with our standards and practices. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you want to get Content Safe because they got your back. They'll download everything for you. And they'll also put it up on other platforms. So, I trust them almost as much with my content as the NSA. So you want to work with them. Folks, we got the magic at the contact of the cabin. It's the magic on the mountain thing that I'm doing. I'm so excited about this event. It starts in 270. Look at the countdown. I mean, that's how excited everybody is. But Joe Roop is going to be there. Brandon Powell, who is a jiu-jitsu master and a Wim Hof instructor, is going to be there. It's going to be in the petrified forest of Arizona next February. And I was just on Joe Roop's show. He is really into Hermetic magic. We had an awesome chat on his show. It's called Lighting the Void. Give that a play when you get a chance. I have got the Discovery Call link in the bottom of this video. So if you want to chat with me, I want to connect with you. If you've been connecting with my material at all, I do want to talk to you. Hit me up, and potentially we can work together if it's a good fit. There's also a calendar link for all the stuff that's happening, so you can be like, oh, well, what's going on this week? Who's doing what? You can check that out just right on a Google Calendar. It'll link you directly to the content. Very sleek. I want to thank all my people over at Patreon. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. I'll have an exclusive podcast out on Patreon this Sunday. And if you haven't already, go hit up the Facebook group over there on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, it's #GetCoached. Now, I have an amazing coach guest on today, and we had a great exchange over Instagram. Daniel James. Oh boy, I'm looking for I'm looking for his website. There it is there. Daniel James Fitness. This is the first person that I've had on the podcast that's into physical fitness. It's something that I'm pretty new to myself, so I'm excited. I'm going to get some free coaching off of it. But I mean, look at what this guy's doing. I mean, look at these folks. So folks are looking good. I said one of the posts that I saw by you, Daniel, that I just absolutely loved. And I was talking to my friend Christine. We were writing jokes the other night, and I was like, man, I saw this guy's Instagram. He was like, you want to grow that peach? Hit me up. So welcome to the podcast, Daniel James, danieljamesfitness.com. And he's on Instagram, Facebook, all over the place. I got some links in the show notes. Welcome.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's bizarre how we came across each other. Like I said to you off air, I was watching your YouTube videos. I then decided to give you a follow on Instagram, stalk you a little bit, wait for the right time to reach out to you, and then the universe had it. You reached out to me, so it's mad how it all works. And like I said, thank you for the introduction as well. It's that's actually my old website, so I've got that. And I've also got my other company, the Prime Life Project. So there's two different companies, so that's still running. But that's when it comes to transformations and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot more. Again, as you noted on my Instagram as well. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, man, I love how all this stuff is like. It's just crazy, the synchronicities and stuff. Like the thing with Joe Roop, for instance, you know, Grimerica, those guys are amazing. They hit me up. I was on one of their shows and they hit me up. They're like, hey, you want to come and be, you know, like a speaker at this thing we're doing? And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. And then literally 2 days later, Joe Roop hit me up, completely unrelated, and was like, hey, do you want to come on and be on my radio show? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then a week after that, Darren was like, hey man, you know, we're putting this event together and we want both you guys to be there. So it's like, what? So we had an amazing chat, and it was really cool to connect with you. That's been one of my favorite things about this past year or so, is that I've connected with people that are just awesome. And I feel like the network just continues to grow and evolve and flourish. And we're meeting just a lot of people with interesting ideas, who are cool, who can entertain more than just one idea, who aren't like,
I think when you come out with the intention of what you're trying to do from a place of genuine authenticity, of, again, you're trying to help people, like, you just end up coming across some incredible people. So I have it with my podcast where I'll think, oh, I don't have a guest for this week, and out of the blue someone just messaged me. I'm like, oh, I've just seen your podcast, like, can I come and be a guest? I'm like, it's just nuts how it works. But when you're coming from a place of complete genuine authenticity, trying to help people, it's like the universe just provides in some way, shape or form. And again, the stuff that you do on your channel, again, it's helped me, and again, you're doing it to help people, so the universe, of course, is going to help you get what you want. And it's just, yeah, once it all starts to come into play and you just sat there and you're thinking, what is this all about? It's nuts.
It's, yeah, I mean, it's so much you can't even explain it. And it's amazing. It's just fun to experience and be a part of. Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
So my podcast is called the Prime Life Project Podcast. So in order to talk about it, I need to give a little bit of a backstory about me. So again, as you mentioned, I'm a fitness coach, personal trainer, whatever you want to call me. And I was also a contracted model. I still technically, I am supposed. So I had 3 modeling agencies, getting paid to model. And on paper, my life looked amazing. Getting these amazing transformations, successful business, pitching me in Santorini, front cover of magazines, blah, blah, blah. And all along, I was just an empty soul of a person, like completely lost as a person, had nothing about me, very, very depressed, just not in a good way. Basically hit rock bottom, once hit rock bottom, got myself into a good place, thought everything was fine, went back down again. The second time, I thought, now fuck this, I'm not allowing this to happen to me again. So I like to know things. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I didn't like the fact, so I don't drink because I didn't like to be out of control of my body. I got beaten up when I used to live in America. Nothing against Americans. It wasn't like a hate crime against British people. There's a story behind that as well. And then I realized I was out of control of my thoughts, my mind, all this sort of stuff. So I did loads of research into how can I fix me? And then once I found all this information, I was angry because I was like, there's all this information out there. Why is no one talking about it? Why is it taken for me to get to rock bottom to actually have this information? It's there. It's free information. Gratitude. All these taking control of your thought, all this stuff, and I was furious. So I'd realized that I'd listened to a few podcasts that helped me get myself back on track again. So I thought, I now know this information. This is a year down the line. So I wasn't just one of these people that got myself better and then decided to start talking about it. I'd done the work. I'd got myself to an amazing place. I was then helping clients, and I thought, I need to give back. Like, people need this information. I owe it to them to pay it forward. So I then set the podcast up. It's called the Prime Life Project Podcast. And the sole purpose of it is I set it up to help just one person not feel as shit as I felt. And it's far surpassed that now. It's constantly growing. I've had loads of people on my podcast. I've had a guy called Tariq Trotter, who's an American rapper. I've had a Crip, so the Crips and the Bloods. I've had a Crip on there. I've had guys talking about law of attraction. I've had gold medal Olympians. I've had all sorts on there. And it's my little baby because it's my place where I can just help, kind of like what you're doing here. I can just help my audience. So the last one I did was about dating, and the amount of people have messaged me saying, this has come at just the right time. And it's helped me tremendously. And it costs me money each month to do it. I don't care. I've now got a videographer. It's going to cost me even more money. I don't care. Because it's like, for me, I don't do it for any other reason than to be the person that I wish I had when I needed me. If that makes sense. So that's
it absolutely makes sense. And that's beautiful, man. Like I resonate very hard with that. You know, there's several things that I could touch on there. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about a message to someone who is at a place where they're frustrated, they're at rock bottom. Because my heart goes out to anybody in a situation like that. I was very much there myself, and it took me years. I studied transforming for 3 years, really, before I even did anything. I mean, I made the book, right? But like, as far as like teaching on YouTube, I didn't really want to do that. But again, like if I could help one person, great, fantastic, wonderful. It was worth it. And I think that it's just an amazing gift, and something that makes a lot of sense too. There's a lot of people who just like, they'll watch a video and then they'll make a video about what they just watched,
Listen, that's something that I see a lot going on right now, especially in this space of people like self-help and life coaches and stuff. It's people that haven't been through stuff, when it comes to mental health stuff, it's dangerous because people think that they're okay, they're not okay, and they're trying to teach other people how to be okay when they're not okay themselves. And it's like the blind leading the blind, and it's very, very dangerous, which is why I was in the same position. Even when I launched the podcast and I had actual proof of me helping clients. So I knew that I knew this stuff. I was having amazing months. Maybe I'd have one bad day every 3 months. I'd got myself this amazing place that people would aspire to be when they're in that dark place. So I knew that I knew what I was talking about. But even then I was a bit like, do I know enough? And you see people now, they'll read half a book, get one idea, and then they start talking about it, and then they'll change their bio to life coach. And you're thinking, what on earth? Like, and it's dangerous because when it comes to that mental health stuff, I know my limits. I know that I'm not a therapist. I know that I'm not a counselor. And I had someone had a conversation with me the other day, and I literally sent them to a therapist or counselor. I says, I can help you right now. You as who you are now, I can help you. I know I can. I can make your life amazing. But you've got some deep-rooted inner child stuff, and I don't know how to help you with that. And I don't want to take your money just to fix this when actually you need this. So I know my limits. I know what I can and I can't do. Whereas a lot of people just, I can do this. Oh, yeah. And I'm just thinking, whoa, like you need to calm down here. Like you're clearly not okay yourself. Like just don't rush the process, because it is a process. You've been there. It's a process. And even now you'll have bad days. I have bad days. Oh, yeah. But this is the problem. Even Tony Robbins, he will have a bad day. The problem is that'll be it, and it'll be fine for the rest of the year. But he will still have that bad day. But everyone sees them on these pedestals, these top successful people, and they think that they get themselves to a great place. They have one bad day, and they somehow think they're a failure. And that's not how it works. So that's the thing for me. It's about being genuine and authentic, and knowing my limitations, knowing what I can help people with, knowing what I can't help people with, and just being honest and transparent when I'm having a bad day. Prime example today, like I said to you before I came on here, I had to take a nap because I was just feeling a bit prickly. I just felt a bit prickly. Just something in my head. I was a bit like, I just felt a bit unsettled. Take a nap for 30 minutes. Absolutely fine. So I know my triggers. I know what to do about it. And that's what I'm trying to help people with.
I love that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, even like we're coming off, I was telling you, I was in Florida. It was like an easy week, all my friends are down there and stuff. And so I kind of disengaged from things, which I needed some space. But at the same time, it made me realize like how much I need to be working on the things that I personally feel are important, and knowing my limits as well, and knowing my weaknesses. I feel like that's my biggest strength, right? Like, here's the things I don't know, right? Like if I want to talk about, like, let's say something physical, like I have no expertise in that. If somebody needed help, but I have my friend Indy, I'd be like, yeah, talk to this guy. He knows this stuff. He's got an amazing story, or yourself, or many other people. Like in my program, for instance, there was stuff that I wanted to teach, but I wasn't really qualified to teach, and so like I would have Vanessa Fernandez come and teach the Enneagram. I had Jim Shane come and teach like the trauma release stuff, because it's not something that I've studied my entire life, but they had. Yep. And I think that's the beauty of community, is that each one of us has our strengths, and we can add what we know, and everyone else, and then there's nothing wrong with asking for help, reaching out to other people who have different areas of expertise. In fact, that's true strength right there.
Or even the same area of expertise, they just have a different spin on things. So I think that's also part of the problem. It's like, I have no problem reaching out to another fitness professional. So again, I had a lady the other day that messaged me and said about menopause. So she says, I really want to work with you. Do you work with people with or they're going through menopause? And I says, I do, but it's not my area of expertise. I says, I know how to do it, but I don't want you to think somehow I'm a specialist. I'm not. So I says, I can actually give you contact details of a female trainer that I know and I trust. That is her speciality. So again, straight away, I've lost money there, but I've been completely authentic and genuine. Yes, I can help you, but actually you're going to get more value from this person. It's just how it goes. There's no shame in that. It doesn't make me less of a coach. It's just me understanding I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. And I think that's also the problem. People try and be a jack of all trades and end up being a master of none. And that's something I learned very, very early on in my career as a coach. You have to pick a niche, stick to it, and be very, very good at it. So your pyramid is tall and narrow rather than just really like wide and flat. So that's always stuck with me when it comes to anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're working in a group, now you're talking to a group that has so much in common, as opposed to a group that's like in different places, right? Like what I'm looking for to the person that I'm looking for to work with is someone who knows that they're here for a reason. They want to dive into that. They know they have a purpose. They're asking these questions. And I want to get them on from the place of, oh my God, what am I doing, to having some courage, stepping up into trusting the universe and taking those steps onto their path. And so that's exactly the person that I'm looking for, who needs to get over the cliff. You know, it's like they talk a lot in marketing about like, like demographics and things like this. I don't have a demographic. You know, there's no demographic. If you're 50, 40, 30, female, male, it doesn't matter. But I'm looking for someone who's mentally in a specific place. Yeah. And they're like, I know I'm here. I've got these skills. I've done this. My job's unfulfilling to me, but I know I'm here for a reason. I was thinking today, like I was like a apocalypse staffing company, you know, like, let's go, you know, you're here for a reason. It's a crazy time, but I do believe that every single human being has, you know, a special gift to give to the world. And what I want to do is I want to help people find that out. I can't find it out for you, obviously, but I have tools. And so, you know, when people can come into contact with that, get an understanding of what that is, and kind of step away and push away from all the social conditioning and the pendulums, you know, that have basically hypnotized us to think that we are something that we're not, that this is important, even though it is not relative to us, and then really peel those layers back and get a glimpse of who they really are on the inside.
I think the purpose is a big thing you hit on there. Like, 'cause I think that's a lot of people's problems. They don't have a purpose. That was I literally say to people, I'm nearly 32. I'm 32 in June, but I say to people all the time, I literally existed for 28 years of my life. I said it to you, I think, off air. It's got no purpose. I had no purpose. I had no passion. I was just existing on this earth. And I think, as you said there, if you can help people find their purpose, that's what people are looking for. People know there's more to this life. If you've seen the Disney movie Soul, prime example. And again, I use the thing of the fish when they're outside that club and the lady tells a story about the fish, where the little fish goes up to the big fish and says, "Excuse me, I'm looking for the ocean." And she goes, "Well, you're in it." She went, "Oh no, this is just water." And that's most people, they're searching around thinking they want one thing and whatever, and it's right in front of them. They can't see it. And as you said, so I love the fact how you work with that of just trying to help people find their purpose, because that's my biggest thing, that people don't realize how amazing they are. And they're searching for this external thing to quote unquote save them, quote unquote fix them. And people don't need fixing. They just need to find themselves. They need to forgive themselves. And that's the two things I try and help people with. Like, just try and find themselves in some way, shape or form, and forgive themselves.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. Like, we think we need to conform to some other standard from a pretty young age, right? Like, we need to be like this and be like that person and this person over here. But it's like, man, no, stop fighting against yourself. You know, it's like the things that I still do it, you know, I still fall into the trap, you know, it's easy to do, but you know,
it's too easy. It's too easy to do. Let's be honest. So I was talking with a client of mine, he's from America. He's just signed up with me. And again, he's very overweight. And I basically said to him, America's a lot worse than any other country I know. And again, I've lived there, so I know firsthand experience. I said, but let's be honest, it's so much easier to be fat and morbidly obese than it is to be fit and healthy. I said, that's the problem. This is so easy. Like, this is so easy in America. You've got to drive through ATMs, drive through growth. You don't have to get out of your car nowadays. It's like that Wall-E movie. So I says to him, the problem that you're doing is you're trying to move over here, but the world around you is geared up for this. So again, like, even like me and you, like, and people that claim to be in this good headspace, it's still hard for everybody because the world is just there. Like, it's there, ease and convenience and all the stuff that's there. Everyone wants it. And that's the whole reason why it's so successful, because it plays on your, like, the little thing there, your little bit of self-doubt and thing that you want to cover up and fix, whatever it is. And then bam, you'll see that product or whatever it is. And then you're straight back in the game again.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Even with drugs, alcohol, right? Like those types of things are so easy to get and so convenient. Even the things that are illegal, it's like a friend who's a comedian, he's like, like, what drugs can you get in here tonight? He's like, well, all of them. He's like, obviously this isn't working because I could literally get whatever that I wanted to just in this comedy club tonight.
Yep.
And then now it just gets easier and easier too, because they have obviously liquor stores, but then there's, these other like alternatives for drug use or whatever that you can buy like at the smoke shop, and it's like I could just walk down to the smoke shop and get high, it's like I don't even, and then other places too where it's legal. And I, of course, I'm not against it being legal. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, but it's just the convenience factor, like you're saying. It's like so easy to just, like cultivate an addiction. You just,
and if everyone else is doing it, it's easy. And this thing, so Ken, so I'll go back to my story about why I don't drink. So I went to university in America, as in Iowa, a place called Clinton, Iowa. Probably never heard of it. Nothing much there. It's literally on the border. It's on the border of Iowa and Illinois. So there's literally cornfields and the Mississippi River. That's it. And yeah, I said I got really, really badly beaten up when I was drunk. And when I then stopped drinking, the amount of people that try and pressure me into drinking, and it's just bizarre. So with this, even if like you want to stop drinking or you want to stop smoking or you want to stop doing whatever it is, all of your friends are probably going to be doing that. And then people just don't have the tools to be strong enough, because again, you want to be part of that crowd, that sort of like pack mentality. It makes it then even harder to actually, again, especially with earlier, like people don't really know themselves. They don't back themselves. They don't have their own back. They don't trust themselves or believe in themselves. So they make a decision and then the pack's trying to pull them back in. And it takes a very, very strong person to stand there and be like, no, I'm doing this now. I don't want to do that. And I think that's why, again, a lot of people struggle, because they want to do something. They have the best intentions at heart. They look around them and everyone else is doing the exact opposite. And they're almost made to feel stupid for trying to better themselves.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I even before I kind of like really tapped the brakes, I would be out. And it was amazing to me. Like some nights I might be like, well, I don't want to drink tonight. And then people would be like on my case. It's like, dude, why do you care if I drink or not? Like, it's exactly your choice. You do it. What does it matter? Yep. But it makes me think of Napoleon Hill, the Outwitting the Devil book, because he says that one of the laws is environmental influence. Mm. And so that environmental influence, when we put ourselves in a situation where that's, normalized, whatever it is, whatever behavior, then it's very, very, very likely that we're going to lean into that at some point. Like you can't be in jail, for instance, and not be somehow corrupted into that system. There's just no way that I don't think anybody has that much resilience or willpower. The environment is huge. So just having a little bit of strategy about the environment. And there's also like what they call the rule of five or the law of five in self-help. And usually it's people who are talking about finances. They're like, well, you'll make the same amount of money or the average of the 5 people you hang out with most. Mm-hmm. Well, the same is true with, habits, how you engage with the world, your worldview, all those things, the 5 people that you're around the most. And that can include people that are online as well. It's not just necessarily in physical reality. But
well, let's be real, with what's happening with coronavirus, most people are now spending more time online. Right. So they may have their 5 friends, close friends and family around them. If they've then shifted more to online, then their demographic of people are more sort of online now. So again, if you've got I'm going massively generalizing, like I love computer games, but if you've got people that are now spending all the time playing computer games and all they're doing is just sat there just eating potato chips and drinking alcohol and stuff like that, it's very easy to justify that to yourself, because everyone you're on your headset to is doing the same thing and you're all having a laugh and joke about it, getting drunk. It's very easy to do that. Whereas actually, when you're in the quote unquote real world, you wouldn't be doing that. But now, because coronavirus and all the lockdown stuff had happened, you now slipped back into that sort of thing. But it's so easy to do. The thing I like to use a lot is the boiling frog. So if you stick a frog into boiling water, it jumps straight out. But what society does is it basically puts it in the cold water and slowly turns it up and it boils it alive. So before people know it, like people have come out of this lockdown. I know it's been different in America, and I know you guys are still like struggling with that. But in the UK, we're kind of coming out the tail end of it now. And people just are starting to realize how unfit, unhealthy. I've had people that are like, oh, I've started drinking bottles of wine a night. And it's just slowly crept up on them. And now they're going back into the quote unquote real world. It's almost like they're seeing the daylight for the first time. They're like, what the hell have I become? It's because we just spoke about there, they become conditioned to their environment and what's been around them and been available to them. Because if they've been at home with their partner and they're both scared and anxious and using food for comfort and alcohol for comfort, then that's the person you've been living with, literally not being able to go outside for however long. You're going to adopt that, and then that then becomes this new identity that you formed.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I experienced the same thing, even just in consuming content, right? Like in the beginning of this, I was so upset. Like about a year or so ago, I was like so upset, and I was just watching like all these other like fear porn, YouTube, like so that was just perpetuating and making it worse and worse and worse to where I just felt like helpless and on my couch. It took me a couple of months to kind of get out of that and be like, all right, well, I'm going to focus on, what I can control. And I've seen a lot of my friends, honestly, have really made some great changes as a result of this. They've been wise and said, okay, well, I've got this time that I can use, and I can either be constructive or destructive with this time. And a lot of people have been destructive, and it's really easy. That's just sitting there, the liquor stores are still open, but that's the only thing, to begin.
It's the same in this country as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And then, so it's like, that's a difficult decision, but, kudos to anybody who has taken this time and used it constructively. Of course, there's also, a little bit of grieving that, for me at least, like I had to grieve this, because it's like, oh God, this is just rough, so I kind of like, it took me a few weeks to just kind of like process what was going on.
I think it took everyone. I don't care. I'm very, especially in this country, like in the UK, I was very much aware of kind of what was going on. I'm not here to talk about people's views. I don't really care. But my whole thing was that when it got announced in this country we're going into lockdown, even I was just like, holy fucking shit.
Yep.
And it hit me. But it hit me for like 2 weeks. And then I kind of, like I said, snapped myself out of it. And then since then, I've kind of seen it for what it is. But I think even the strongest individual couldn't help but get hit by it, because no matter what you think of the government and whatever like that, like they've still got this thing of they're meant to be there to protect you, and what they say goes. When you have a national announcement going on every single TV saying this stuff, you're a bit like, shit. So like it's like the horror movie you see, and it's a bit like, oh fuck, and then that's it. But then once you realize there's nothing you can do about that, all you can do is control yourself. It then puts you back in the driving seat. And I think what's happened is a fantastic metaphor for life, like just in general. It's like you can't control anything. You can't control what's going to happen. All you can do is just control yourself and how you deal with it. And again, in the UK, we've basically had 2 lockdowns. We had a big lockdown, we got let out. We had a second big lockdown. The first lockdown, I literally did nothing. I just existed. I didn't really do a lot, little pity party, creating content, but not much. The second lockdown, I decided I wasn't going to let that happen again. And my business has just gone vroom, because I've just used that time constructively again. But it's then understanding that once you understand that it was a metaphor for life, and being like, I can't control any of this. I can't do anything. What can I control though? Me, my attitude and how I do that. And this is, again, the biggest thing. People don't realize they have a choice. They do not realize that they have a choice. You have to stay at home. Okay, can you do anything about that? Okay, yeah, you can go outside, but you risk getting a fine, arrested. Okay, so you're inside. You then have a choice when you're inside. What are you going to do? You're going to sink or swim. And again, it's one of the things where, and this is the big thing for me, is like people will be beating themselves up now, but they didn't know any better, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Like you can't beat yourself up when you're in that fear state. It's not their fault. It's they were conditioned to be in that state of fear. And that's the scary thing for me, is that people don't know how to manage their emotions. And that, again, why I set up the podcast and stuff like that, is because people just don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to sit with the emotions. They just want to suppress them. So like we said, we were feeling a bit uneasy. I didn't turn to drink. I didn't drink, but a lot of people would have felt really uneasy. Oh, I don't know what to do with this feeling. Drink, alcohol, sex, drugs, whatever it is, just numb it away, get rid of it. I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it. And then suddenly, a year down the line, they're like, oh, fuck, I've gained 60 pounds. Like my health's down the shitter. I've got no money in my bank account. Like, what do I do? And that's then the whole perpetuating problem now that we're dealing with, people's mental health on the flip side of this. And again, with me, the physical side of things. So my coaches, all my coaching are fully booked because people are coming in the worst shape of their life. And it makes me angry. It makes me really, really angry that there wasn't more help and support out there for people. They were just sort of told, stay at home. In the UK, it was stay at home, save lives. That was a slogan, stay at home, save lives.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, what the fuck are you going to do at home?
Right.
What are you meant to do? What give me something. Stay at home, save lives. Oh, but don't worry about it. Like, we're going to do a national thing every morning so you can meditate. We're going to have some people coming on to talk about mental health because we know you're going to be struggling with anxiety and people are a bit nervous. Don't worry, we've got your back. No, it was just like, right, stay at home, save lives. Okay. And then they're stuck there with their abusive partner or their alcoholic parents or whatever it is. And it's like, where was the help and support? And this is what fucks me off. And this is what beyond belief makes me so angry. Where the fuck was the support? Where was the help? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning. Here's your 5 minutes hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. And meanwhile, the entire world is in a state of trauma, like the entire world. And the coordination of propaganda just completely blew my mind. You know what I mean? It's just like, wow, everyone is literally on the same tip. They're all saying the same thing and perpetuating the same thing. And people, no idea really, what to do. They're in a state of trauma. They don't want to deal with that. So it's real easy to turn to drink or whatever other vice.
Food.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And like I said, McDonald's was open for some reason. They're essential. They're allowed to be open. The liquor stores, as you said, but I mean, the gyms are closed. Go figure that one out.
Yeah. And so what are people to do, right? And so here we are, have a whole entire world basically in a state of trauma, and they are all pardon that is the trash.
Oh no, you okay? I've got the gym next door. I'm surprised there's no I'm surprised there's no thing there coming.
Oh, that's cool. I can't. Oh, did you freeze?
Oh, have I gone? There you go. No, I think my. Can you see me? Oh,
I think you're frozen. Oh shit. Oh boy. Well, we are still live with Daniel James. Who knows what's going on? Maybe YouTube is messing with us. Hopefully he'll pop back in here. If you're watching, feel free to send a comment in the chats. Let us know how you're doing. And, hopefully we can get him back in here pretty soon. And I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Because it is springtime now, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's been absolutely gorgeous here. Looks like he's back. Awesome. It's a beautiful day here. So,
and I'm back.
All right.
No idea what happened there. I think my Zoom just cut out. Apologies.
Yeah, you shifted the computer over, and I was like, "What?" I'm looking. It was like
So all it was basically they were saying the gym is literally right there. So as soon as I moved it, I've got a monitor. For some reason, the monitor being unplugged shut my Zoom down. No idea how that works. It's never happened before. The amount of times I've used Zoom during this lockdown, I'm like a Zoom pro. So, well, clearly no, I'm a bit of an amateur when I'm going off live on air. But
I was about to start calling content safe. Hey guys, what's going on? But yeah, it's an interesting time, and like you said, if you are here and you're like, what did I do this whole past year? I mean, we were all traumatized by this, and it's not a time to beat yourself up. It's never a time to beat yourself up. That's one of my favorite things about transurfing. I was talking to a friend about this last night. Is just guilt, duty, and obligation are the strings of the pendulum, right? So anytime there's a sense of guilt or duty or shame or obligation or any of those types of things, that's not positive. That's manipulation of some sort. And so we want to make sure that we can identify that and just move away from it. If you haven't spent this past year in the best way, and none of us really, most of us haven't, then that's all right. There's now. And if you've if you have kind of hit a rough spot, a rough patch, you put on some weight, develop some habits that are not the most healthy. What would you say to someone who's in that position? Maybe we can talk a little bit about that and just encourage people who are like, you know what, I need a fresh start. It's springtime. It's a great time to do that. How would we maybe talk to somebody like that?
So for me, I always look at people and I get them to assess where they're currently at, kind of what you said. So people are very now honest with themselves. So they're sort of taking a look at themselves and they're like, right, I'm not in a good way. So that's completely normal. That's completely natural. I don't think that's a problem in the slightest. Is then looking at yourself and asking, right, what can I do right now to take back control? Because what people do is they'll say certain things, but then what they'll say is, oh, I'll put it off until Monday. No, don't put it off until Monday, because Monday never comes. You'll always find an excuse. So we like to put things off. So for me, it's like, right, you made the decision that you're not in a good place. You let yourself go and you beat yourself up. Again, we've just said, forgive yourself. Like, there's nothing you could have done. It's happened to the world. You just make yourself feel worse and worse and worse isn't going to help. Except what's happened, right. My then first thing would be, what can you do to take action right now to take a step forward. Even if it's going to grab some water, like whatever you, I can't remember, like however many ounces you use, like a thing of water, drink some water. Cool. That's at least a start. You've done something productive. Make your bed. Just start off small, go outside and go do an hour walk. Cool. Straight away, you've broken that cycle of negativity. Then the next thing I look at with clients, and this goes for all my clients I work with, like online in the fitness space, which is a bit bizarre with how I work with stuff. We can go into that later on, but gratitude journals. For me, I say to my clients, if you can take control of the morning and your evening, it is impossible to have 2 bad days in a row. It's impossible because you've taken control of the morning. The day might go to absolute shit, but then straight away, you take control of the evening. It then can't be a bad day. It's only been a bad middle of the day. So for me, I like to clients with gratitude in the evening, because when you're gratitude journaling in the evening, no matter how bad this has been, could be the worst day ever, there's always something to be grateful for. The problem is we're not taught how to look for things to be grateful for. Like the brain is there to keep you alive. Like the brain is very logical because that's its job. Like back in the day, it had to keep you alive. So it's always looking for the negatives, always looking for things that are dangerous and da, 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 da. So if I turn around to you and say, yeah, do you know what? I love your glasses. They're amazing. But then literally turn around and be like, yeah, but do you know what? I hate that brown sofa in the background. You're going to focus on the fact I've just called you a brown sofa. That's what you're going to, all day, you're going to sit on it. That's what it's going to be. You're going to ruminate on that. And you're going to forget that I've just said, I love your glasses. And it's not our fault. It's just how the brain works. It's hardwired that way to keep us alive. But if we can go to the end of the day and consciously be like, right, let me just think about what's happened today that I can be grateful for. So then you're telling your brain, the reticular activating system, you're saying to the brain, right, brain, tell me what good things have happened. And you're like, oh, nothing's happened. There'll be something. And you're like, oh, that Daniel, he said about my fucking brown sofa, what a dick. And you're like, oh, actually, no, he said my glasses are really nice. Right, well, my glasses, cool, write that down. And you sit there. How good does it feel to have someone say how nice your glasses are? Because you've clearly spent some money on them. Great choice. So you sit there and that feeling then perpetuates. And then you think, well, what else has happened? Well, I've got to speak to my friend, blah, 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 blah. Amazing. So you write it down. 3 things. That's all it is. 3 things. And then you go to bed. And you wake up next day, do it again in the morning. What are you grateful for? Nothing. Well, you woke up. So that's a positive. Let's write that down. I woke up. And sometimes you've got to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Sometimes right. You have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I woke up. I've got a pen and paper. I can write. Cool. Well, and then this is the thing with this. People will write that. And this is when you've got to get into the feelings of it. I woke up. Okay. That's fine. I can write. What would your life look like if you couldn't actually write? What would it look like? And then you start to appreciate how powerful it is that you can write. But people don't. People take it for granted. We've got people that are blind. Okay, what would your life be like if you were blind? Oh, bloody hell. Okay, I didn't think of that. Straight away, bam. You've then got that feeling of gratitude. You're sat there with the feeling. And this is where people get gratitude journaling wrong. And this is where I got it wrong. Literally the entire time I tried it. Up until I realized I would just write it, going through the motions. I am grateful for this. I am grateful for that. And I wasn't sat there in that feeling.
The feeling
so
is the secret. Yeah.
That is literally it. So I say to my clients, if you can get that feeling, then what will happen is your days will elevate. You'll go to bed in a better frame of mind. You'll wake up in a better frame of mind. The stuff that happens in the middle, before when it would bother you a little bit, like, oh, don't like your couch. You'd be like, oh, okay, cool. It doesn't bother you. Whereas before, you'd sit there ruminating on it. You'd be like, what does he mean? Oh, and it literally cripple you. Or your boss would say something. Right. What did he mean? What did he mean by that comment? But if you can just sit there and elevate your things, bam. So that's when it comes to, I know we've kind of gone off a bit on a tangent there, but that for me is what people can do straight away, because everyone's got a notepad at home. Just got some empty pages. You can do that tonight. If you're struggling tonight, get yourself some water, drink your water, make your bed, go for a walk, start writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Bam, straight away, you've then got yourself back in control of the situation. You're not waiting for Monday. You're not waiting for this magical thing, because people think they're going to wake up one day and feel inspired to change. It doesn't happen. It never happens. And this when it comes to fat loss, this when it comes to business, it comes to finances, mental health. As soon as you get that spark to want to change, you have to take that action on it.
Man, I love that. You just like explained like how to jump timelines, which is like everyone, how do I jump a timeline? I really want to jump into another reality. Well, yeah, you do, huh? Well, you can do that, but it's not like how, I don't know. It's not like how people talk about it. It's kind of like we were saying earlier. It's like somebody watches half somebody else's videos and they're like, oh, here's how you do this, jumping timelines into some other reality. It doesn't work like that. We are here in a shared reality. But, like your timeline within it can elevate. And the only way to do that is through gratitude, through positivity. There's no other way. So, I mean, if you're at rock bottom, it's tough, but I love your tip because, think about it, like think about it and inspire that feeling in your body to be grateful. And you're exactly right. You can't have, 2 bad days in a row. I always start out my day with a very much a gratitude practice, and I don't write anything down. I just like focus on my heart and I think of somebody that I love or something, could be a puppy, whatever. And then I just focus on that feeling. And it's weird because that was always intuitive to me. Or at least since a few years ago, it was really intuitive to me. And then as I've studied like Joe Dispenza's work and Heart Math Institute and all that, like it just confirmed all my suspicions about it.
But then go back further. Where's that come from? Buddhism. There's a practice in Buddhism. I can't think for the life of what it's called. Some Veda. And you sit there in a state of meditation, and the first thing that you do is wish yourself well. You wish yourself well, and you start to love yourself. Then you look for someone that's completely neutral, wish them well, and then someone that you don't like. And all you do is putting love out there. So you're literally starting the day with love. Like what greater thing is there? And this thing with Joe Dispenza, what I love about him is he's bringing all this hippie woo-woo stuff that's like a bit out there, but he's now backing it up with science. And he's got all these things that show the chakras, like actual physical energy things. So people are like, oh, chakras. And I don't ever claim to know anything about chakras. I don't. I believe in them. I know they're there. I've read his books, but I don't claim to be an expert in lining them up or anything like that. But you got to look, like Ayurveda has been around for ages, or this ancient Indian practice, or this ancient Chinese practice. It's been around for centuries. There is a reason why meditation and yoga has stood the test of time. There is a reason for it. And it's just like now science is starting to back it up. Now the modern influencers are trying to get on board with it. It's like, don't dilute it down from what it fundamentally is, which at its core is love. Love and gratitude. You cannot beat those two things. And this is also what pisses me off when you get people trying to put all these massive price tags to find the secret. There's no secret. Love and gratitude. You're paying people for the strategies to get there. But the secret is love and gratitude. Don't try and call it anything else. It's love for yourself and other people and gratitude and appreciation for where you're at. Let's not sugarcoat it and call it anything else. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah, you got these people that's like, oh, get this secret, it's £1 million. Fuck off. It's not £1 million. That's what it is.
That's right.
I mean,
I love it, man. I love your fire on this topic.
Okay, I'm getting hot.
No, I just want to say hello to a couple of folks in the chat. Amber says that her brain is an expert at being a brain.
Yeah, there we go. Listen, everyone's is.
Mine too, yeah. And then Scott Stevens says both of us should be wearing masks right now. We're incredibly reckless.
Oh, very, very reckless. Yeah, completely agree. I'm passing it on. Do you not know? I can pass it on through the microphone.
Dude, well, the thing is, I've been wearing it at home because I don't want to give it to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
It's dangerous. And then ISX, thank you for popping in the chat as well. Says focusing on gratitude helps the mental chatter to become more uplifting and positive. And that's something I'm really passionate about too. You know, we talk a lot about thoughts and thinking, and I spent a year just telling myself, I love myself. I love myself. You know, I'd be behind the bar hating life and just like with this mental script running. But it was as you said, like writing it down in the journal. I'm so grateful that I can write down something in a journal. There was no emotion behind it. There was no true power really behind it. It was just
intent, no intent behind it.
Exactly. It was just this empty thing that I was saying over and over and over and over again. And of course, you know, this is a loop between our thoughts and our emotions, but the real cause is in that emotion. And that's why I focus on my heart in the morning and think about someone that I love. Like my grandfather's no longer with us, but he was my hero and hilarious. And so I'll think about maybe him one morning or whoever pops into my mind. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's my mom or whatever. But that just inspiring that thought creates an emotion. And that emotion, once I focus on that, then it just amplifies more and more and more and more. And Dispenza talks about the heart being an amplifier and how it's your electrical chakra center. Well, shit. I mean, that's so intuitive and simple, but just beginning and ending. I need to start doing this before bed too. But yeah, like it makes such a big difference as far as going in the day, because you could either say, oh, well, I'm going to change my thought life. And then you walk around like, you know, with no emotion, no passion, no love. It's just, but you're telling yourself this word, but it's just a word. It's devoid really of meaning unless it has some essence or intent behind it. So
and everyone's definition again of love is completely different. So it's defining what does that mean to you. So for me, when it comes to affirmations and stuff, and again, you kind of hit on it about people saying, "Oh, I love myself," is one of the things I think you should use there. And it's something I learned from Michael Logier, and it stuck me. So when I was in a dark place, he spoke about why affirmations don't tend to work, because people say to themselves, like, "I love myself," or whatever it is, but that little voice inside their head will turn around and be like, "No, you don't. You're a fucking failure."
Yeah.
And so you're trying to put this positive intent out, and then bam, straight away it gets neutralized. So something that he said to me was, and it stuck with me, and I do it to this day, I get my clients to do it, is put the word, "I am in the process of." So I'm in the process of loving myself. I'm in the process of becoming successful, because purely by saying it and doing the action of the affirmation, you are in the process of. Mm-hmm. So therefore that voice can't say shit, because you are in the process of doing it. And that was massive for me, because how I've manifested my life and what I've made happen in my life, I had absolutely no right to want it in that rock bottom place when I started doing this. But just by saying I'm in the process of, I was able to almost will myself and force it into existence, because the little negativity inside my head couldn't say anything. And that's something that really, really stuck with me. And then once you start to identify, so one of my things was I was in the process of being successful. Well, I had to identify, what does success look like to me? Like, what does that mean? Because successful is completely subjective. And that's the thing when people look at the visualization, how they want their life to be. And this is something I'm only really now getting into. Like I was talking about before about the law of assumption and stuff. It's now, what specifically do I actually want? What is success? Define that. What is it? It doesn't have to necessarily be a number, but what is it? Is it financial freedom? Okay, financial freedom. What does that mean to you? Okay, what house do you want? And you break it down and you start being really getting the nitty gritty of it. Like I said, putting the order into the universe. And again, that's one analogy I absolutely love. You put your order in with the universe and just let the chef cook it for you. But you've got to know what you're ordering. And the problem is people are too wishy-washy. They're like, yeah, just give me the burger. Well, what burger? What sides do you want? Did you want anything else with that? Do you want condiments? Like, hold the gherkins? Like what? And that's the thing. The first thing for me is that people don't know how to order. They don't know they can order. And they don't know specifically what to order. So when I heard that analogy, I now use that all the time, because it's so powerful. So I think people, when it comes to gratitude, when it comes to affirmations, when it comes to visualizing what they actually want, because people know they want something different in their life, they just don't know how to make it happen, because they don't know they have a choice and they don't know they can put their order in.
Yeah, and most people, so, I've heard this many, many times. We are either running from something or towards something. And most of us are kind of in the middle of there somewhere. A lot of people don't know what they want, but they know what they don't want, which is a fine place to start. Be specific about that, right?
Great start, yeah.
It's
a great start.
Yeah, that's actually, those are the people that I want to work with. Like, people who are like, I know that I don't want this anymore. I'm looking for purpose. I'm looking for meaning. So to define what you actually do want, you have to disengage from that and then start to define that. Like you're saying, you say the law of assumption. Yeah. And be specific. I love that. That's so good. And I love the idea that I'm in the process of whatever that thing is. What I'm in the process of, because the process is trustable. If you're in the process of, building your dream life, then that you're in that process, and whatever the next steps are that you're doing, those are meaningful. They have utility, and you're in the process of it, and you can continue to build and build and build.
But here's the thing though, when you're in the process, because what people think is, right, my journey is going to be like this. And it's not, because you're in the process. What does a process look like? It's got its ups and downs. So if I'm saying, right, Owen, you're going to climb this mountain, and I am on an opposite mountain, I can see the best path for you to go. I am the universe. And I'm like, Owen, like, no, whoa, go back down. You need to go down. You need to go across to then get a better path. You're in the process of still climbing that mountain, but you're understanding that sometimes it's going to go backwards. You're going to have to shift sometimes, but you're still ultimately going in the right direction. So when you're actually defining, I am in the process, you are then saying, okay, so you've had a failure. I'm still in the process of being successful. Right, what's this trying to teach me? Because the process means it's like, I am successful. Well, if you've just lost your job, you're then not successful. If you're in the process of becoming successful, maybe you lost your job because you're actually now meant to take that side hustle and take it to another level. this is what's happening to me. So for me, the wording I'm in the process of was something so powerful to me, because it then gives you complete empowerment and control of the situation, and you can look at it from a completely different thing rather than thinking you have to try and climb that mountain straight and force it. And it just, it's a recipe.
And you have this limited view of you being just on this trail, whereas when you're like, I'm in the process of it, it's going to have ups and downs. You know, there's going to be storms, there's going to be weird, sort of things. And that's how I feel too. Like back to the whole idea of purpose, right? Like where it's like, yeah, I have a shitty day. Sometimes it's just a shitty day. Like that's all right. But I'm not going to give up because I had a shitty day, because I'm in the process of doing this thing. And the process is going to have these speed bumps and unexpected things and challenges that, we've got to face.
Absolutely.
It's so good, man. I love that. I love the process. And that's how, jumping the timelines. I love all this woo-woo stuff. It's like, we got to heal our bloodline trauma. We got to jump timelines. Come on, guys. It's like,
but this is the thing, though, isn't it? But it's just confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so up until I mentioned that other podcast I was on, I never speak about law of attraction, law of assumption. I don't. People don't want to know what I'm learning and reading about. They don't care. All people want is results from me. But then I went and did so every Friday evening, I've got it tonight, I do a live with my online clients to basically help them educate some stuff. So it's a live workshop specifically for my online clients. No one else gets access to it. And I did one then on the law of attraction. And it was basically like a surprise, like, this is what I've been doing this whole time. I've just been calling it different things. And because I was really unsure on talking about it, because people do think it's so out there and it's got these connotations. But then when I realized everything I was getting them to do was this stuff leading them to this better life. And I was talking about lifelines and and again, like how visualization works and it's spreading your comfort zone and all sorts of stuff. And they literally just there like, yeah, I get this. And they got it because I'd not explained it using hippie woo-woo stuff. I just said, do this because this. Okay, cool. And they trust me and they crack on with it. But I think people, when they call things, again, gratitude. Okay, don't call it gratitude. Call it your happy journal or your reflecting journal or whatever else you want to call it. If gratitude doesn't sit well with you, that's fine. Affirmations. Okay, you don't want to call it affirmations? Okay, call it positive talk. Whatever it is that sits well with you, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got the essence of it, you can make it work for you. And I think people get too much caught up on the detail. Oh, it's got to be so spiritual. I've got to have my incense burning and the moon's got to be aligned with Jupiter. And it's just like, fucking hell, like, no, you don't like... Again, but I'm not saying, I'm not dismissing all that stuff. What I'm saying is people get so caught up on these perfect things and it's got to be called the right thing and they get so caught up on the nuances. No. Take the essence of what it is, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it and get on with it.
And keep it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be some crazy ritual. The ritual only has power because you give it power. That's the only reason why it has power.
Yes, exactly.
So, it's so easy to just get looped into this or this new shiny thing. Like I've got to learn Vedic astrology or Western astrology, or I've got to learn human design. Like how many human design experts are there now all of a sudden since I heard about it 6 months ago? It's like, I'm not saying that it's not valid. That's great. But I don't necessarily, I'm not just going to jump on the bandwagon either.
I've not even heard of it. I don't even know what that is. So it's not clicked on over here yet.
Batten down the hatches. There's probably you're going to walk outside. There's going to be 5 people handing you flyers about human design.
Oh my God, yeah.
I guess I like the idea of it. The premise is that basically, you're taking several different modalities for understanding yourself and putting those together. I like that. It's like, I don't know that it necessarily incorporates the Enneagram, but I personally really like the Enneagram as far as like a personality tool and understanding, your motivation as a person. It doesn't tell you you're lazy or, you're, funny or you're it's not like astrology or, like a personality typing system, which I think those have their use. I'm not shitting on those either. But what's cool about the Enneagram specifically is that it points to your motivation. Like I'm a 2. I want people to love and acknowledge me, but I don't ask for it, right? Like,
so I've never heard of that either. I've literally taken that on my notes. I'm going to go Google it after this.
Yeah, dude. And I'll send you some resources that are really good because there's a lot of people that talk about it. That it's an ancient. The Enneagram itself is like an ancient. Tool and it's really amazing. So I'll send you a couple of things on it that are verified.
That'd be awesome.
And the human design stuff, I don't know where it comes from. I haven't done a deep dive into it, but I know the idea is that it resolves, several different things that are supposed to inform you about yourself, whether that be, epigenetics in combination with astrology, for instance. I don't know that that's it, but it's the idea is that it like layers a bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll definitely send you some really good stuff on the Enneagram.
Love that.
Yeah. There's just so many things to explore and learn out there. And I feel like people just get overwhelmed and spun out because they're like, they've got to learn this thing and they've got to learn that thing. And then there's this new information and there's this new technique. It's like, dude, it ain't about any of that,
But this is the thing. This is why for me, self-help books don't work. They don't work because people read them. They're literally there jerking off over it. Like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. But then they do absolutely nothing with it. Then they move on to the next book. And that book is completely different. Oh my God, I love this now. Do nothing with it. Oh my God, I love this. Nothing with it. Again, it comes to fat loss. There's all these things, the ketogenic diet, low carb, paleo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The problem is people don't stick to it. They don't stick to it. And all they are doing is just moving from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Now, everything's got their place. Do I have a problem with ketogenic diet? Absolutely not. Does it work? Of course it does. But people don't understand how it actually works. Once you actually explain the science of how these things work for fat loss, you then give the person the power back to make the choice. I say to people, are you never going to eat a carbohydrate again? No, then don't do the fucking ketogenic diet. Because all you're doing is looking for a short-term fix. If you're never, ever, ever going to, if you are fine not having a carbohydrate again, obviously I know ketogenic warriors, or you can have carbs. Yes, I know you can have carbs, but it's very limited and you can't have it freely. So if you want to be watching the bread you have, the chocolate you have, looking at the ratio of stuff for the rest of your life, then knock yourself out. But I know most people don't want that. So why would you do it? Why? You need to understand the basic fundamental principles of nutrition and then apply what works for you. But people don't. Like the magpie. Oh, my friend's doing this. I'll try this. Oh, my friend's doing that. I'll do. And all the time, they're doing nothing. And it goes to self-help. Read this book. Oh, transurfing. Oh, brilliant. Oh, law of attraction. Oh, brilliant. But they do nothing. Right. And they claim to be this expert. Oh, I've read all these books. Okay, well, you've got no fucking money. You've got in a job you hate. You're in a crap relationship. Like, you clearly aren't implementing anything you're talking about. Right. And that's the thing for me. It's like you have to read something or do something, like whatever diet you want to do it, commit to it. I'm going to try this. Then stick with it. Oh, I like this. Don't really like that. Cool. And then take that, and then go do something else. Kind of contradicts what I know. I'll try it. Right. I like that. Right. I'll stick that on top of here. And then what you're doing is you're building this pile up, and you're now left with your own interpretation of all this stuff. But here's the beauty of it. It works for you. It works for you because what works for you isn't going to work for me. Mm-hmm. What resonates with you isn't going to resonate with me. So that Enneagram, I might look at him like, no, it's not for me. It's literally not for me. Literally not for me. But I will literally, all the stuff you send me, I will read it. And I'll be like, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Don't quite agree with that. But okay, I can see where it's coming from. Love this, love that. But the problem is people have got no free thinking. So they don't know what they're trying to pick out. Am I making sense? People just just all over the shop with stuff. And it comes to fat loss or anything, money. They're like, oh, I'll go into stock markets. Oh no, I'll go into Bitcoin. Oh no, I'll go into, and it's like, oh my God, like, can you not just pick something and just trust the process? Yeah. Trust the process with anything.
Exactly. You are in the process of being that process. And so, so for me, I've tried to pare things down and make it simpler because everybody's got 80,000 hours of bonus content. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want 80,000 hours of bonus content, bro. I just want something that works. And
if it's bonus content, well, what's the actual main nuance of it? Why do I have to have teach me in here? I don't want to spend another 800 hours. Give it me here. I paid for this. Give it me here.
Yeah, exactly. So, while at the same time, like you said too, there's that other aspect of it where there are a lot of different tools, and what resonates with one person doesn't necessarily resonate with another. Like the Enneagram, which, thank you, Dylan. Dylan says it literally means 9-pointed star. That's my wordsmith friend. There you go. So, and that's what it is. Actually, I could show you what it looks like, since but like I like the idea of having a little bit of a spread. right? Like a buffet. Like, here, taste this, taste that, taste this, taste that, see what you like, and then drill super down deep into what you like. My friend Vanessa Fernandez, she is an Enneagram expert, and she crushes. So in fact, I'll send you some of her work, and I think you'll really, really like it. And
podcast.
that's really what she focuses on specifically. And she works with corporations and smaller businesses to understand people's personality types in the system of the Enneagram. And so here's my friend Allison made this
oh wow
graphic.
Great infographic.
Yeah, the idea is, so like you said, 9 pointed stars. There's 9 different types on here, and each one has its own motivation. And that's why I specifically love this. Nothing against, Jung's archetypes or astrology or any of that, but most of those don't really focus on the motivation, right? And so, like, as I can speak, especially there are some numbers on here that I know better than others. I'm a 2, so helper, connector, manipulator, and nurturer. And the manipulator part sounds worse than it is, but what we need to focus on and what we lack focusing on is our own needs very often. So as a type 2 on the Enneagram, you'll see that there are 2 lines here that are going toward 2 other numbers. So an unhealthy 2 would devolve toward a number 8 and become like very challenging, right? Repressing their own needs and then ultimately blowing up on people. And I've done that. But becoming aware of it makes you realize, oh shit, like I have the propensity or the capacity to do that. So I need to watch that, right? That's something I need to be aware of. It helps my self-awareness. I'm not just observing myself. I'm observing myself as this type of person who has these propensities. Whereas a healthier type 2 would go toward a number 4 and focus on their own needs more and be expressive and unique and focus on the things that set them apart and are different. The 4 on here is the person who's like, you can't put me in a box. I don't have an Enneagram number, right? That's one specific type. And so as a writer, this is an incredibly powerful tool from that angle too, because if I'm writing a story and the main character is a type 2, well, I know exactly the challenges. I know the things that are going to irritate him. I know the things that they need to overcome. I know how they'll devolve at some point during the story and how they'll evolve, during the story and what the happy ending kind of is. So it's kind of a cheat sheet for story in that regard. And then as far as like applying it to your life, it's a really, really powerful tool for that as well. But it's something that you could really study for your whole life. And that's why I think like Vanessa, she has dedicated her whole life to that. And so, for me, I started out, the first thing that I really applied, and I did the whole thing where mental masturbation, right? I read this book and then I read that book and then I read this book. I did it.
Me too. But it didn't help me with my depression.
Yeah.
I'd read all these self-help books before I got depressed. Because I didn't understand it at its core, it did not help me. And that's the key thing. I didn't understand the essence of what it said. I'd read all these books, bam, depression. Didn't help me because I didn't understand the essence of what it's talking about.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny to think about too, because like it's like, okay, I've read all this. My life should be like this now, right? Like since I've read this, and then now it doesn't work for me. So now I feel even more isolated in darkness and depressed. So ultimately, I think like running positive information through your head is definitely better than the alternative. There is at least that. Absolutely. But at a certain point, pick something. For me, it was self-reliance was the first thing. And I was working on a tree farm. This was probably 2014. I was working on a tree farm. It was one of my first entrepreneurial endeavors. And I just would be shearing trees and hanging out on the tree farm and just listening to Self-Reliance every day by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And that book, man, it changed my life. And then it wasn't long after that I found Transurfing, and I dedicated about 3 years to really diving deep into that particular book, because there were so many other books, but for whatever reason, that one spoke to me the most. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go with this. So I know I can explain those concepts and ideas. If somebody has a question about it, I know that shit pretty well, and there's other things too that I'm learning and adding to. But when it comes down to it, if somebody's like, I want to work on the Enneagram, I'm going to be like, well, I'll give you a taster, what I mean? But I'm going to send you to somebody who's an expert on this, because
even there, I didn't even spell it correctly. I spelt it like India, like the country Indiagram. So I'm just like, I've not even spelt that, Chris. I'd have been trying to Google it and I got it completely wrong. So you just even showing me that infograph was brilliant, because I'm like, oh, that's how you spell it.
Yeah, well, I'm just probably speaking too fast too. I've had a couple.
I think it's the American accent. That's all it is. But I should be used to it. So I don't know how I wasn't.
No, but it's interesting. I think there's so many different tools. Like I have friends who are astrologers or tarot readers or whatever, and I'll go to them and be like, hey, I would love a reading, or I would love, would you work with me? I'm not going to pretend like I know how to do that for somebody else, though. That there's absolutely no, that's a no-win situation for anybody. But I do like the idea of having, a bit of a buffet so that people can pick the things that are really useful to them and drill down into them. I have a couple of friends who work really in depth in trauma release, and that's something that I want to work on. Like become a trauma release agent. I've had a lot of success with that because I feel like traditional therapy is often very much masturbating as well. It's like, hey, let's pull up this trauma. Okay, that's an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back. How you doing this week? Well, I was kind of depressed. Thought a lot about that trauma we pulled up last week. Oh, cool. Let's pull it up again. Yeah. That's an hour.
Yeah. See you later. They pick people up and they dunk them back in that pile of shit and then leave them. They then got themselves clean of the shit and then they pop them back in again. And again, it works for some people, but for me, the one of my good friends named Scarlett. Again, she's incredible. She's like a living Buddhist. She's part of the Sangha and all sorts. She's brilliant. She taught me something called acceptance and commitment therapy. So I then sort of delve into that a little bit, and that's basically massive. The whole principle of that is free flowing. So very much, they call it a hexaflex. So again, it's a hexagon. So basically each corner's got a different thing. So when you go into this therapy, you're basically there and you shift each week depending on what the person needs. Maybe it's more mindfulness or having purpose or being in the present moment or whatever it is. It's those different things, and you're very flexible with it. And I was on the course to do that, and I was the only non-therapist on this course. I'd managed to blag my way into this course, and it was fascinating. Like, obviously I don't claim to be an expert in it and I don't use it, but I just wanted to understand the principles of it because it's really interesting to know. So the number one in this country is cognitive behavioral therapy, and that's basically where people get picked up and put back in that shit. And again, it's got its time and place for people. I'm not knocking it at all, but I feel there needs to be a lot more of a holistic approach with that. And when it comes to the trauma stuff, this Scarlett, this really good friend of mine, she works on outdoor therapy and basically how animals, they shake to release their trauma. She does a lot of that sort of stuff where she teaches people to release the trauma that's built up in muscles. Know nothing about it. So I'll send people to her. When I need people to go to see a therapist, she's the girl to go to because it's not my bag, but I find it absolutely fascinating about the trauma that the body and the muscle holds. It blows my mind a little bit, really.
Yeah, it does mine too. And there's like, I even have a couple of books on it, like just on the desk here. The Body Keeps the Score. This is like the classic one that's in the vein of it. And then I have also Prometheus Rising by Robert Anton Wilson. This is one of my favorite books. This is in my top 5 for sure. I just love him so much because he has such a great sense of humor. And what he talks about is basically developmental psychology. And I remember learning in college, like developmental psychology, like the 4 phases of development, but he has 8 in here. So the 4th is adolescence, and then he keeps going past that, which is really more like consciousness levels of development. And it's hard to explain, but he has such a great way with words, and like he's just so funny. I really loved their approach. Anything from like the Falcon Press, because he took a lot from Timothy Leary and some of these, kind of far out, 60s mystics and stuff. And they had fun with it. It wasn't like you have to be this perfect. They were like, no, let's do some mescaline. You know what I mean? Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can't, communicate telepathically. He was trying to communicate telepathically with Timothy Leary while Timothy Leary was in jail. Yeah. And so they do all this crazy shit, and I'm for that. I'm all for it.
But people say it's crazy stuff, but all you're doing is pushing the boundaries of stuff. Like, and I think that's the thing. Like, people get called nut jobs and all this sort of stuff. Then modern science now backs it all up. It's just like, okay, cool. So again, it's about like chakras and meditation and all sorts of stuff. Like, modern science now backs it up. So who's really the crazy one? It's like there's all this stuff, and when science backs up, there's a reason why people try these things. Like when it comes to like mystics and card readers, like I had a really bizarre experience. I've never believed in card readers, never been my thing at all. I don't know why I wouldn't believe in it, because I believe in spirits and energy and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know why I wouldn't believe it, and especially now I know about the universe and dimensions, I fully endorse it. I was in Ireland one day on a course, and I basically was wandering around Ireland. It's going to be a bit delving into my sort of life a bit. on a course on a Saturday, got there on the Friday, walking around Dublin, Ireland, just wandering around. And there was 2 coffee shops I wanted to go to, independent coffee shops. Like, I'm that guy that will go to a different area and I want to try their independent coffee shops. So on the way to try and find this independent coffee shop, I actually then found a sex shop. So I thought, oh, this is interesting. It looked really bougie and high end. I thought, oh, fantastic. And then it's on the, you see, you might see in the London, movies where they've got like the really tall buildings and there's like a basement coming out the bottom. So these women came out the bottom. And I thought, oh my God, there's like a sex dungeon or something down there. Amazing. Walk down, get to the bottom, turns out it's a tarot card reader. And when you've made that walk down, you kind of don't want to be that idiot that sort of comes back up. And I thought, oh my God. Anyway, I walked in. The only way I can describe it is borderline like a crack den thing. It was really run down. It was a really nice building. And anyway, then this guy comes, the most flamboyant guy ever, that really comes out. And I was like, oh, I wasn't in the mood. I was in a really bad mood. I was like, fuck this. And he goes, oh, you're here for a card reading? And I was like, yeah, apparently I am. And he goes, oh, that'll be €50. Couldn't be $50. And I was fuming. I thought, fuck's sake, I've got to pay €50 for this. Anyway, got in with this bloke. Before we went in, he started asking me questions. Oh, do you want a cup of tea? No, I don't drink tea. So I was asking me questions. Literally, I was giving him one-word answers. Because I was like, I am not giving you shit, mate. Like, I'm not going to slip up and then you start using that. So anyway, nothing. Anyway, sit down. He gets these cards. And he's like chatting away, and then wham, whaps his card down, starts talking to me about myself. I was like, he's been in his breakup. I was like, good guess. Single guy, walking around Dublin, clearly pissed off. You got lucky. And he's like, oh, okay. And I said to him, when did I break up with her? Bam. I was like, fucking hell. And he literally gave it to me. And I was like, right. I was like, there's no way he could have known this information. And that was it. I was hooked. And then he started telling me about myself and the stuff that he told me that there's no way he could have known. And I was then getting pissed off with him. I was like, I said to him, how the fuck do you know this? And he says, honestly, he says, I don't know. He says, I just put these cards down and it just comes to me. And I just say what's coming through me. And at the time, I was not into any of this sort of stuff. So it was completely beyond me. And I was almost traumatized by the experience. It then, bizarrely, turns out that the coffee shop I wanted to go to was on the other side of the street, but I'd missed it because I thought it was a sex shop. And I was then too mortified to go and sit in that coffee shop. So I went round the corner, and that's where the second coffee shop was, literally less than 100 yards away. And I just sat there drinking this coffee, and I felt like I'd been abused. And that's the only way I can describe it. But since last 2 weeks ago, I was listening to an Ed Milet podcast, and he had a psychic on. And he said the same thing when he first had it happen to him. He said he felt like he'd been attacked. Like he felt like he'd been abused by this person because this person knew information that he shouldn't have known. And he felt attacked and he felt very vulnerable. And that's exactly how I felt. And I sat there at this coffee shop. And I was like, how did this person know this information about me? And to me, it sounds nuts when I say it out loud. And I feel like if you came over, Owen, I'd be like, right, let me take you to go see this person. I would then go there, and I never existed. And it was all in my dreams. That's the kind of thing I expected to be like. It's just, what guy? There's never been one of those down here. I'm like, that's what I expected
exactly, to be like. Yeah. It's just a coffee shop, you know? What are you talking about, bro?
That's literally what I expected to be like. So ever since then, I'm now, honestly, I now believe, I've not had a card reading since, but everything that person said has come true. And it literally gives me what goosebumps think about it. It blows my mind. I don't talk about it much, and again, I love you, so I have to. But that's one thing when you talk about that sort of stuff. I fully believe that, and I've never delved into it. I don't understand it, but I believe in it 100%.
Oh yeah, me too. It's crazy. I had I'm picky about who I'll just like let do readings for me, whether it's astrology or tarot or whatever. But I've had a couple people just nail it. And my friend Lindsay, she's really good. She tells me about her experiences too. She does like firm hand tarot is what she calls it, because she gets like in the zone where she's kind of like rough, Yeah. And she doesn't even remember. Like she'll record the sessions, and sometimes she doesn't even remember the things that she's saying. She's just like in the zone. And then I had my friend Katie DeKay also, she's amazing. Sparkle Bat, she goes by. She did a spread for me. I want to say that was last year. And she was like, oh, you're gonna inherit some family heirlooms. And, that's a really big deal. And you should definitely take good care of all of that stuff. And I was like, yeah, whatever, bro. Like most of our family heirlooms are gone. Like my parents were split up, and they didn't really keep a lot of stuff, like photo albums and things like that. Well, a week after I got back, because I was in Minnesota, my dad was like, hey, if you're around, can you help us? We're going to clean out the basement. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I wound up going over there, cleaning out the basement, found all these old family albums, heirlooms, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, after that, I'm going to take this stuff and take care of it. I still meant to like digitize a lot of it, which I haven't gotten around to, but still I've got it all back in my room, just stacked up in Tupperware containers. I was like, how could you ever even know? And I'm not really like the type of person who's like into sentimental kind of things. I have a lot of books, and I love art, but like other than that, like I don't have a lot of kludge, I don't have a lot of knickknacks and stuff. But
I think the one thing I hate on there is like being in the zone. That's something that I found my purpose, my passion, how I help people. I will find this quite regularly where I'll be doing something like this. And I did a podcast today. It was my own podcast. So it was just me. I was a guest on my own podcast, just chatting away. And it gets released every Tuesday morning. And this was on a Monday evening I was recording this, because I left it to the last minute because a guest let me down. And I'd rattled away for 30 minutes. And if you'd come in and said, what did you just talk about? I couldn't tell you. And I was furious. I was like, this is going to be so fucking shit. Like, I can't, like, it must be shit because I can't remember what I was talking about. And then listen back to it. And I was like, fucking hell, like, it's been now one of my most downloaded episodes. But during you're in that state, like that, the card reader said to me, where just something comes through. And I get it now when I public speak, like tonight when I'm talking to my clients, someone will ask me, or I do a weekly Instagram live. I just go into this state. And again, I know you'll feel exactly the same. And you just say things and people are there and they're like, bloody hell. And then you're like, what did I say? Well, I don't know what I just said. And it happened on that podcast where I told you before, the back of the bus. I was talking about all sorts of stuff, mate. I couldn't have even told you what I spoke about. Couldn't tell you. And I think that's when you found your purpose and your passion, when the universe is just passing through you and just helping you to help other people just through just what you're sharing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that kind of flow state.
Yeah.
And I think that is, again, directly related to just like being right place, right time, like I don't want to be a broken record here about purpose, but also I'll say to everybody that at the top of this chat, there's a link to that podcast, the back of the bus that Daniel was on. So
you'll see my hair. I had really long hair. That was my lockdown hair. I had it tied back. Yeah, it's really long.
That's awesome though. Yeah. I'm going to check it out too. But like improv comedy for me is the thing that, I have that experience with, and not really stand up so much. Stand up is another animal. You got to, that's all rehearsed material that you've, basically put into your body. Like your subconscious is just could spit it out at any point. It's like memorizing a speech or something like that. But improv, on the other hand, is just completely just being at the mercy of the scene, like what is happening and if I need to lay on the ground and fry like bacon, then I'm laying on the ground and frying like bacon, which is absurd and ridiculous. And I we'd have a lot of great shows. I miss doing improv a ton, but we'd have a lot of great shows and people would be like, dude, that was great when you said that. And I was like, I don't remember saying it. I just said what came to me in that moment, in that scene. I don't know where that comes from or what part of it is, but the natural aspect of it that's so cool and that I love so much is it's like, we intentionally create a bubble and then it naturally pops on its own without, it's like if you try to pop the bubble or like crack that joke, then you just suck all the energy out of the scene. But if you just let it, continue to develop and expand, eventually it'll get to the point where it resolves itself. And then, somebody will just be standing there and they'll just have the right thing to say. And it's like, everybody knows, everybody feels it in the scene, and like that's the end of that thing. I don't know. It's really beautiful to work with the universe that way.
Absolutely. And again, letting it happen, get rid of that excess potential.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just like following where those signs lead to. There's another book that I've read recently, again, called The Alchemist.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that, not read it.
Oh man, that one's one of my favorites. I love Paulo Coelho, and he talks a lot about in that book about the secret language of the universe and following signs. specifically, because that I won't ruin the book for anybody. No spoilers, but he's going on this quest to find his treasure, and through that quest he gets different signs, and he kind of gets pulled this way, and then he gets pulled that way, and he does this thing over here. He gets his fortune stolen from him, that he's earned over years. And I was on the phone with somebody not too long ago, and they said, well, sometimes my heart is wrong. And I found that to be a very interesting thing to think. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, my heart, I felt like, was leading me to do this thing, and it was a dead end. And I said, well, then what did you do after that? And they were like, well, that's when I found my job that I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, then it wasn't wrong. It just led you in a series of events that you weren't expecting, that you couldn't predict. It's like, I think our mind gets in the way so much, because our mind has this list of things that we think need to happen in order to, X, Y thing, because we think we know the process, instead of just being in the process, right? Like, so being in that process and keying off of this trigger or the sign, and then taking that next step, and then taking that next step. Because long story short, and again, I don't want to blow the whole thing of the book, but he's like, he gets the thing that he's looking for in a very roundabout way. Mm-hmm. And the lesson there is that, had he just gotten it really, really easily, I'm sure he wouldn't have appreciated it as much, but he also wouldn't have seen and learned all the things that he learned through that entire journey. So it's beautiful in that regard. And even though, we have these presumptions about how things should be and what the variables should look like, oh, I'm going to call Jim, and Jim's going to call Sam, and then Sam's going to hook me up with, a producer or whatever. It's like, it never, think of anything that you've accomplished in your life, anything. None of them have gone in that linear fashion that you had in your mind. None of them. Nope. So that's
me. I say that depression was the best thing that ever happened to me, which is a bizarre fucking statement to make. But at the time, if you'd asked me that, I'd have said you're fucking nuts. But that's just how it works. Again, it's like climbing the mountain. Like, you can't always go up. You have to sometimes come down to find a better route to go. And right. It's just how it is. Yeah, exactly. And people just think it's always going to be positive, and they can't. And that's the thing for me. Just look at any of the negatives and always ask, right, something positive is going to come from this. Something positive is going to come from this. So I lost 2 coaches during lockdown. Went on to do different things. And then for a second, it traumatized me a bit, like, what am I going to do? I was like, better coaches going to come along, like more suited coaches that are meant to be here, blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, what's happened? And it's one of the things where it's just bizarre how it all works. And I'm always thinking, this is happening for a reason. If you can just take anything away from what me and you were talking about, it would be that. Just everything is happening for a reason. Life happens for you, not to you. And if you go around that attitude and just let it happen, take action towards what you're going towards, and trust that the world and the universe has got your back, it makes life so much easier.
Man, I love that. It is so true too, right? Like, what the other choice that you have is to doubt the universe. Do you think you know better than the universe?
Exactly. Who are we? Who are we to think that? Do you mean, who are we to think that we're better than the universe? Do you know what I mean? It's like, who do we think we are? It's like, when you let go of that egotistical thing, thinking you know best, it's like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan says that mountain comparison is great. I couldn't agree more. I love that comparison a ton. Like, that's really good. The idea of that, having that perspective and understanding that, the it's not a straight line. It's just never going to be that way. You might start the straight line and there's like a sheer cliff and you can't climb or something.
But just look at any professional rock climbers. They will never go straight up. They can't. They're always looking, and sometimes they've got to go down to get the better route. So watch any professional person. Again, it's just bizarre when you look at it and you think about it. Like, that is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so I use that one all the time. It helps people kind of get more of a gauge of it. Now, again, it's picking at the right time to say it, because yeah, people are going through, and I say it all the time as well. If I was to time travel back to depressed me and told myself, do this, 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 and this, I would have told myself to go and fuck myself. Even if it was me, literally, I wouldn't have been impressed. I'd have been like, go and fuck yourself. So, and it's something that I took a note on from earlier on. I can't remember what point it was, but I basically put something saying that in that dark space, because something you said once, it's just about finding that small grain of light in that darkness, just that one small thing. And again, going back to the gratitude thing, I think is where I wrote it down. just have one small grain of light, and that's what will help you carry yourself through. Because in that darkness, there will be that one small grain of light. If you can just hold on to that one small grain, it will come a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. And then hopefully someone like me or you will come along, will grab you by the scruff of the neck, and will pull you out when you're ready to come through. And that's what it's all about, just holding on to that small grain of light. And that's a powerful thing, because when you're in that darkness, it's very lonely. And it's just that I've got quite emotional. I don't know why it's trying to hit me then. Just saying that the emotion just hit me there of that. But it's a very lonely, dark place. So if you can just find that one small grain of light, and whatever that looks like, and just hold on to that, it will get better.
I love that. Yeah, it took me a long time to learn that lesson. I can totally relate to like going back to past me, being in a depressed state and being like, no, dude, this is actually good for you. I'd be like, man, fuck you. You have no idea what's good for me and what's not.
You don't know me. It's me. Fuck you.
I'll teach you. How can I not know? But yeah, I remember when the first time that I attempted to apply that, right? Because it's still not easy. Like I'll still be in a trying situation, and the temptation is there to just be mad and negative and give up and complain and all those types of things.
I think you're allowed to, but it's the thing.
Yeah.
People you're allowed to, like, if someone comes up to you and tries to kill you, you're allowed to be fucking pissed off.
Yep.
And then you're allowed to feel quite upset, hurt. You're allowed. And this is sometimes the problem that pisses me off with this stuff. People are almost villainized for having feelings. If you lose your job and all your money gets stolen, you are allowed to be fucking depressed. Mm-hmm. You are allowed to feel shit, but you need to understand that you're just visiting. You don't live there anymore. You're just visiting that emotion. Because again, there's a difference between feeling depressed and being depressed. There's a difference between feeling anxious and being anxious. So that's it. Like if I lose everything I've got tomorrow, I'm telling you now, I'll be fucking depressed. But I'm not going to become depressed. I'll be feeling depressed.
Yeah.
And I've got the tools. I'll dust myself off. I'll have a pity party, because I think I'll be allowed to have a pity party for a week.
Absolutely.
And then I'll then realize this isn't fucking serving me. Here we go. Start from the bottom, work our way back up again.
Right.
And people almost try and turn their feelings off and be fucking robots. You're allowed to. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be hurt. You're allowed to be jealous. You're allowed to be. But it's then asking yourself, is that feeling serving you? And is that feeling helping you become the best version of you? Probably not. So then let it go. But don't villainize yourself for feeling that way.
Dude, absolutely. That's so good. Yeah, that's one of the things that I get on a soapbox about too, because I think a lot of people refer to this as spiritual bypassing, right? It's like, I'm gonna pretend like everything's great, even though I'm just completely crushed on the inside. It's like, dude, it's okay. It's okay to be crushed. And again, people just oversimplify shit. It's like, in every situation, there is what he says in the Outwitting the Devil, in every negative situation, there's a seed for a positive advantage, and vice versa. In every positive situation, there's a seed for a negative advantage. You have somebody, win the lottery and be like, well, I got to pay all these taxes. Now all my kids are going to want all my money. They'll see the negative in that situation.
Oh, well, last week it was 50 million. Oh, I only want 10. Fucking hell, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. But in that bone crushing train wreck, which that's part of life. If you can be in that moment, and you're allowed, of course, to be upset, but it's like, all right, so then you have your pity party, and then you say, all right, where can I find an advantage? What could be the advantage? Where can I start to steer the ship that could be advantageous, right? And that's enough. You don't have to pretend like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's like, no, it's not.
No.
It's clearly not. Everyone knows this is not the best thing that's happened to you. You just got run over by a Mack truck. It's like, dude, like,
I'm fine. Your arms ripped off. I'm fine. Fucking hell. Like.
No, it's what it's like, no. But if you can take that and be like, all right, cool. How can I parlay this? It's a bummer for sure, but what can I do in the future? What's the lesson? How can I take this and apply it for the future? Very likely you can help someone else who's been through that in time. That's the most obvious thing that can happen. But, whatever that is, there's going to be opportunity. And if you can, like you said, hang on to that little grain of light, then you can figure it out. You can find where to apply it. And then we're going to do that.
Yep, love that.
So good. I love a lot of your analogies. I'm learning a lot from this.
I am the analogy king. And there's this thing for me, like, I never claim that some of this stuff is mine, as in like mostly analogies are, but it's like we go back to the concepts aren't mine. Like going down to go across to go back up, that's not my fucking thing. Like that's just how it is. But I need to have analogies to help me understand things. And it's when you understand you get if people understand things or not. Because if people can explain it in an analogy form, which is essentially at its most basic core, they get it. And that's why I'm saying that I don't have a degree in psychology. I'm not a therapist or a counselor, but I've got very good friends that are, and they're incredible. And I will hold my own against them because I understand this stuff. Like you said, I might not have the childhood trauma and healing in a child, but I understand it and have a conversation with you about it. And again, when it comes to actually taking control of this and how to actually, I know it enough that I can articulate it in a way to use analogies that people are like, oh, I get that now. And that's the thing, if you can't explain it to a kid, I've learned this from my brothers, if you can't explain it to a kid, you don't really understand it. So my thing with analogies is I use analogies because they help me understand it. And that's why, again, with the transurfing in the restaurant, like that for me, I was like, oh, I fucking get it now. You're going on about this other fucking crazy shit, but that analogy, I get it now. I get that. Cool. You talk about going to get the shop and what's right for you and pick it. Right, I get that. Give me an analogy. And if you can really understand it, you can transform it into an analogy and then people will get it. People don't give a fuck what books I've read. People don't care about the big words that I use. People don't give a fuck that I know about law of attraction. They don't care. People just want help. And the best way to help them is if I can just transform it into some sort of analogy that maybe makes people laugh or makes people think, oh, yeah, kind of get that now. Cool, job's good. You don't need to know where I learned it. You don't need to know the author. You don't need to know if I created it. You just here's the concept. Here's an analogy. Go.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because we just amassed so much information. It's the way the world is. There's just so much information, and most people are just being bombarded. It's like the meme, the GIF with a girl, there's just like a bunch of hot dogs hitting her in the face.
Yes.
Like, that's what's happening to everyone right now.
Yeah.
Like we're just all just constantly being bombarded, and I really want to focus on just paring things down. It's like we were talking about earlier, like find something that you can drill down into, and then instead of just continuously, just consuming content. And I made a video about that not too long ago, and I may have ruffled some feathers, which I didn't intentionally mean to, but a lot of the people that, because there's nothing wrong with exploring, and I don't mean to throw shade on that. But I know I was working on a one-liner about like how isn't like a guided meditation cuckery, like you're just watching somebody else or whatever. But guided meditations help. I'm actually working on some myself. So it was just a misplaced joke, which can happen. They don't all land, baby.
No. But this is the thing, but again, that's fucking go on a tangent now, but people getting offended by things. Fuck's sake, it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. So I've got an analogy that I use. It's called a sausage machine. So in a sausage machine, you know how sausages are made. So you get some meat, stick it in a sausage machine, grind it, the sausage comes out. So I was doing some corporate work with this. I should have known better. It was for a veterinary practice. So I should have, in hindsight, I should have known better. But anyway, my point is, I basically said, right, this is called a sausage machine. You can call it the manifestation machine, how the brain works. I don't really care. And when I was doing this PowerPoint, do you have Peppa Pig? Is Peppa Pig a thing? Do you know what Peppa Pig is?
Know of Peppa Pig, yeah.
Basically, it's a little kid's cartoon thing. And basically, parents will fucking hate the sight of it because it's annoying little... Anyway, I then basically said, like, listen, what you put in is what you get out. So I basically then put a picture of Peppa Pig, then the sausage machine, and then a sausage. So basically implying that Peppa Pig gets put in. I then also made a joke. I was like, you put pork in, get pork out, beef in, beef out, put vegetarians in, you get vegetarian sausages. Anyway, needless to say, I got a very, very intense vegan, like to the extreme end of veganism, which again, I'm not against at all, completely, again, each their own, went nuts at me for using Peppa Pig. I said, first of all, Peppa Pig, she didn't even pick up on the fact I'd use vegetarians. And so apparently I can crush vegetarians into vegetarian sausages. But Peppa Pig, that's a fictional made-up character, was inhumane to animals. So I basically had to explain to her, I said, listen, you're missing the essence of what I'm saying. I said, just look past that and look what I'm trying to actually explain. And that basically people just get offended with stuff. I was trying to help. The whole thing was, it was completely innocent. It was a joke. I even said at the start, listen, don't get offended, any vegans, vegetarians, bam, pressed it, and then off it went. But I thought, you've missed it. I'm trying to help. Yes, I could have potentially done it a bit better, bearing on your vets. But at its core, I was trying to have a laugh and a joke, like make light of a situation that people don't really understand. You've just made a joke, it didn't land, But then people get so offended by it, and you think, fucking hell, like, you've got nothing better to do with your life and just be offended by something. I mean, fuck me, come on.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, you know, like when I don't know, I was just thinking about like algorithm, you know, and content creators, and a lot of us, you know, and a lot of them are my friends, you know. I get it. Like they want to put as much content out because that helps them gain an audience and they get more people watching their videos. I get it. I'm not hating on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not hating on guided meditations. Those are great. But if you spend all your time just watching these videos that are literally created to just focus on problems, frankly, that's all they do. There's not usually a solution on, you know, these YouTube. They're just talking about this or talking about that, talking about like human design. They're talking about this, you know, these things over here, and just it's all this unorganized, scattered information that's not really designed specifically to do anything other than to get people into their funnel, which is fine. Take their course, buy, you know, like go and do their thing and all of that. So I wasn't like hating on, you know, my friends who are content creators. They're doing the best they can with the tools that they have, you know what I mean? Like I was, but what I wanted to point out was that sitting on, you know, on YouTube and like watching, YouTube videos or listening to just heaps and heaps of podcasts, if there's no application done, then what's really going on? It's like you were talking about earlier, reading all those self-help books and then getting depressed because they didn't work.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
That's
like
as hell.
Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? And like I said, and again, it's all intentions. You were coming from a place of genuinely trying to care and help. But again, I've got nothing against vegans. I don't care if you're vegan,
Right.
but I don't care about anything. So it wasn't coming from a place of fuck vegans. It was purely a joke. And that's what it was. It was a made-up thing. I didn't use a picture of a real cat. It wasn't graphic in any way. It was a cartoon. It was coming from a place of trying to help, authenticity. You do the same thing there, and it's. I think people get offended like that. They need to then point the finger back at them and ask themselves why they're getting so offended by something that's meant to help. So yeah, and
you know, and each one of those videos too, I'm speaking to a different demographic, right? And so is everybody else who's making YouTube videos, right? Like someone who watches that video, they may be at a different level of consciousness completely and entirely than someone else who watches the same video, and so it might not be helpful for them. Like if you're you know, Daniel Hawkins or David Hawkins' map of consciousness, right? Like if you're at anger, then you need, you know, somebody to charge you up and get you up into that next level. If you're at shame, then you need that grain of rice of light. You know what I mean? So the solutions are different for everybody depending on where they're at. Absolutely. So there's no homogenous, like, you know, like just really generalized, generic video that's going to help. And by the way, you crushed it on that presentation by using the rule of three perfectly in comedy, right? Like you put pork in there, you get pork out. You put beef in there, you put out. You put a vegetarian, you get a vegetarian. Perfect.
Is that what it is? Is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. I just ran out of things to put in sausages. Like it's normally like beef sausages, pork sausages, or vegetarian sausages.
Exactly.
No vegetarians were harmed in the process of this sausage making.
Right. And Peppa Pig is, I think that's brilliant too, because you're using like this made up, you know, illustrative thing. It's not a real pig. Like, what are you mad about? Like,
exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, that is a thing. That's totally a thing, and it's a natural thing. It's a human thing. That's why 3 is like the magic number. But you know, you'll probably notice it more now. You'll hear somebody talk and they'll say this, da 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 da, and then boom, the third one's usually a surprise. It's
surprise. I like surprise.
yeah. It's like logical, absurd. You know, and so that's kind of like one of the rules in comedy. So you nailed that.
Listen, you need to watch out when you see me hitting the American comedy scene now. You've given me the secret. Yeah, I'm going to be unstoppable now. I'm going to manifest it into reality.
Yeah, dude, come on, man, we'll hit the road. You know, I got a show at a moonshine distillery next weekend. I'm actually really excited about that. I've been like thinking about like what is going to be appropriate for this, you know, because it's up.
I need to learn that. I need to learn that. What's appropriate? Not with vets. That's vegetarians.
I think I can do vegetarian jokes up there. But that's great, man. I love the analogies. It's awesome. I love what you're working on, and I love how much just of the mental stuff that is going into this. You know, I know that you do a lot of like, you know, physical, you know, exercising, kind of coaching and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I guess it is all sort of rooted in the mentality. I imagine motivating people is a
So
big
I've got another analogy for you. This is the analogy I use because people don't expect this when they hire me as a coach, but this is how I work when it comes to fat loss. So again, fat loss is my specialty. You've got a bridge, Indiana Jones style. So old school Indiana, like a wooden bridge, or the new Jumanji, where they've got the rope bridges. That's where we're at. So for fat loss, you're on this side. You've got the river of yo-yoing misery, which you're trying to get across, and that's got like piranhas and the sharks and all the dead skeletons in there for people who've tried and failed, and try and get to the side. So what people do is you've got basic fundamental principles. They are the planks of wood: being in a calorie deficit, good whole foods, cardio, rest and recovery, some supplementation, water, whatever it is, planks of wood. The problem is people spend all their time, and Owen, I could give you the finest mahogany, bespoke, golden encrusted planks of wood you could ever possibly imagine. But that's not going to help you build a bridge because that's just planks of wood and they can't just float into thin air. So you then need rope to hold it all together. The rope is adherence. So again, I just said about the ketogenic diet. If you can't stick to that, it's not going to work. No matter how bespoke, custom made, it's not going to work. So you need the rope. But now all we've got is some planks of wood, some rope, and then we need the 4 big fuck off pillars at each side that hold everything together. That is your mental health. That is your mindset. Because if you do not love yourself, I can get you, Owen, 6-pack shredded. I can get you looking like whatever it is that you think you want, get you on the front cover of Men's Health. But you will then look in the mirror and you'll be like, my knees are too bony. Oh, I wish I had hair. Oh, you'll always find something because all you see is a reflection of yourself. And people will come to me, when I get X, then they'll be happy. No, you won't. You won't because you're still you. I will change the physical, but if you don't work on the internal, nothing's going to change. So my thing is, another analogy, is when people come to me, I boil the fat loss kettle. So fat loss is like a kettle. You fill the kettle up, and there's an old saying, a watch kettle never boils. Fill the fat loss kettle up, put it down, turn it on. I then focus on getting your fucking shit together. And then before you know it, the fucking kettle's boiled, you're 20 pounds down, you're feeling fucking great, and you don't even know what's happened. Because you're not fixating on the kettle, you're focusing on this. And if this is working properly, you will start to see the world differently. And that is why this whole, I know you were not expecting to have this mental health conversation that we've gone into today and mindset stuff, but that is what I focus on. That is my business. Like, I know how to get transformations. I've got loads of transformations. The problem is I didn't understand the missing link. The missing link is this, because if you don't start working on this, you will lose the 20 or 30 pounds. But if your identity is the fat, funny person, and I take away the fat, you're going to start losing yourself.
Yep.
And again, what does a fat, funny person do? They go and they drink all the time. They're the life and soul of the party. They're this and they're that. But that's this person. We're trying to get you here. Would a fit, healthy person be drinking fucking 20 pints? No, of course they wouldn't. So you've got this old identity, new identity. And if you don't work on that, if you try and change your environment, how many times have people tried to start a diet? Oh, yeah, clean out all the house, get rid of all this. But if your identity is someone that's fat, lazy, and doesn't deserve happiness, when you start to see success, you will not think you deserve it. You just like a bungee cord, bam, you snap back to that old identity. And that is where people fail. As I said, I can give you the finest nutrition plans. I can spend hours, scientific research, giving you all the plans in the world. Fat loss is fucking simple. Just like we spoke about the whole world. Gratitude and love. Fat loss is fucking simple. Get into a calorie deficit, move your fucking ass. That's what everyone's told to do. Eat less, move more. It's so simple. But that's literally like telling an alcoholic to just stop drinking alcohol. Factually, it's correct. Eat less, move more. Factually correct. The problem is, first of all, people haven't got a fucking clue how to do that, especially in America. You say, what's healthy? People think Subway is healthy. No, it's not. So people don't understand how to do that fundamentally. And they mentally don't know how to get themselves into that new habits, routines, shift in their identity. They haven't got a clue. So you're fundamentally telling them the correct stuff. Eat less, move more. But what does that look like? That looks like get your fucking planks of wood, attach the rope to it, and get those fucking pillars solid so you can actually walk up and down that bridge, jump on it, bring your friends along. That's it. So that's how I work. And breathe.
Dude,
I do this. I float and think. Thank you for coming to TED Talk.
I can so relate to that because back a few years ago, I was a heavy cigarette smoker, and I was much thinner, but no matter how I did like I did a week-long fast, and I looked like I had AIDS, bro. Like I did not look good. But like I still thought I was not good enough yet. You know what I mean? And that was the whole thing. It was in my mind, like I wasn't. It's like we think we're down here, and someone else, let's say, you're looking for a partner and you see them up here or something. It's like you've got to like do all this stuff to get all the self-help, right, to get up to here. But it's like you're already there. You just
the universe is a direct reflection of how you see it, and that's all you see in the mirror. So all you saw there was someone that wasn't good enough, that was still fat, that was still whatever it was, that was that little thing inside your head, that little voice, that I am, whatever it was. That's all you saw. You didn't see how good you looked. I know you seemed like an AIDS victim, but at some point you would have looked, somewhere along that journey, you would have looked good, but it wasn't enough because all this, all that, all this, all that. So actually, if you love yourself, if you're happy and content doing the gratitude journey every single evening, oh my God, like my new pair of jeans, my size 10 jeans that I've not worn they fit now. Oh my God, that's absolutely incredible. Oh, my mum says I'm looking amazing. And blah, 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 blah. You start to notice the small wins when you actually start to, like, oh my God, I actually look amazing. I had a client message me today saying she didn't recognize herself in the mirror. It's the first time she stopped and actually had a look and liked what she saw. Fucking brilliant.
That's awesome.
That's the goal. That is the goal. Because people think when I get to this size, this weight, whatever it is, then I'll be happy. No, happiness is a feeling. You create happiness. But if you're here and you're still 200 pounds overweight, and I can get you to feel how you want to feel here, you're fucking winning. Now, that's not to say that you don't want that body, because if you're 200 pounds overweight, you've got some fucking fat you need shifting. But you can still love yourself, forgive yourself, appreciate yourself, and all the small wins. £1, brilliant, fuck yeah. £10, fucking celebrate it. £20, £50, That's the goal. And then you get here and you actually appreciate, fucking hell, look how well I've done. That's the goal. But then you're not tied up. Your identity isn't this, because the weight on a scale is just a number. Your clothes are just clothes. But you as a person are more than that. And if you actually love yourself, again, another analogy I use with people, and giving you all my gold here. And another analogy I use with people is when people come to see me and they've got a broken relationship with themselves, I say, right, Owen, don't know what your favorite music band is. I'm just going to make things up here. Let's say it's AC/DC. I'm making it up here. And I say, Owen, tomorrow, I'm going to meet you outside your house. I'm going to take you to AC/DC, autograph, backstage, literally your hopes and dreams. You're absolutely not sleeping that excited. Morning comes, I don't show up. Okay, cool. Next morning, Owen, meet you there. Keeps happening. I keep making promises to you and I let you down. And then I turn around and say, Owen, I need 10 grand. You're going to think, fuck off. Are you fucking joking me? Like you're never there when I need you. You keep saying you're going to do stuff and you never do it. That's people's relationships with themselves. Oh, I'm going to get myself in shape. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. Let themselves down. Constantly let themselves down. And then they actually want to do something. They're like, nah, fuck that. I'm not fucking helping you. You keep saying you're going to do this. You can't fucking do it. You can't fucking stick to that. You're fucking useless. And that's when you've got to then work this whole thing, working, forgiving yourself. No, this is the time. This time you are fucking losing that 200 pounds. You are fucking doing it because you've forgiven yourself. You're in that good place and then you want to do it. Because again, you've got to love yourself. Because why would you want to lose 200 pounds if you hate yourself? If you fundamentally think you're a piece of shit, why would you want people to think you're amazing? Why would you want to look good? Why would you want to be successful? Because you think you're a piece of shit. And that's the thing. People don't understand. This is the deep root of stuff when it comes to fat loss. People don't figure this out. And this, when I went down this journey for myself, completely selfishly, to get my shit together, I was like, this is it. I needed to go down this journey because I know how to help people with this. I just didn't know all this fucking shit. Now I know this, I can actually fucking help people. This is my purpose. This is what I'm on this planet to do. I know that I can talk. I've got no problem. I can't even see how many people are on here, but let's say there's 1 million people. I don't care. I will stand up and talk about this stuff in front of anybody. I don't care. I'm here to help people. That is my mission. That's my purpose. That is my passion. And I know I can help people look better, feel better, be better. But I'm not really doing it. They're doing it. It's all them. They're doing the work. I'm just fucking...
You're giving them the tools, the analogies.
Maybe try this. Maybe try this.
Yeah, exactly. You're guiding help. I feel the same way. And dude, it's beautiful. Like I kind of had a little wave of emotion there too. So I really appreciate you sharing so much. And yeah, I mean, I can tell that you do care. You are passionate about it. And I mean, frankly, I couldn't relate more. You know, there's nothing like when I started doing this coaching stuff earlier this year and putting all this stuff together, you know, I was just kind of looking for something that I could do in the interim time. You know, comedy was starting to go well. I just had part of the reason why I was so depressed at the beginning of this, so I had just come off like the Impractical Jokers cruise, and I was getting some pretty cool opportunities for somebody with so little time in the game, and things were really starting to pick up, and I was excited about it. But when I started working on this stuff and working directly with people, and just meeting the people who have been, you know, watching some of my videos and you know, felt like we had commonality, like it was so amazing. It blew me away.
Well, Owen, we wouldn't be here if coronavirus hadn't happened. We wouldn't be here talking.
That's right.
And again, I don't even know how long we've been talking because my thing left, but my counter restarted on Zoom when my thing started to cut out. But I literally, I knew this before from looking at your content. Like me and you are basically the same person. We've got doing different things, but we're connected on like, and I'm connected with, when we're chatting here, like I'm loving everything about you. I said when we first started talking, I love everything about you. So coronavirus has happened, and now look, you've connected with me. I fucking love you even more. This will not be the last time we speak. Obviously, I'm gonna have you on my podcast, but like I literally absolutely love you. And this is the thing, like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And
it blows my fucking mind. It literally blows my mind because I'm literally sat here and I'm like, this is the motherfucker that I watch every night for, in a weird non-porny way. This guy I watch every night for, this is the guy that I watch every night on YouTube before I go to bed. And here I am chatting to him, and I've been chatting to him for 2 hours, and we're completely fucking vibing. It's not scripted. We're just fucking chatting away.
Yeah.
I'm helping add value. You're helping add value. And it's like, that's all come from you doing that content through a pandemic. And like, explain to me how the universe can work in a better way than that. It blows my fucking mind.
It's incredible. No, it's fucking amazing, dude. And I can't thank you enough. It's been such a great chat, and so frankly kind of needed it, you know, like kind of coming back from last week, and yesterday was kind of like, it was kind of a dirgy, you know, a muddy day with going through the muck again. You know, I felt like I didn't want to give up or anything, but it was just one of those days where it's like, oh, you know, like this and that. And those days they happen, but you know, you trudge through it. And now I'm excited. I feel inspired. Like I'm actually going to go get some exercise today. It's beautiful out. And so I love it, dude.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, dude. I can't thank you enough. Like, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so glad we wound up doing this.
That's it. It's one of the things where anything I can do to help people, put me in front of any audience, I don't care. So this is bizarre thing. So the first lockdown, I was doing video content. I had 0 people show up. None. Absolutely none. I created all this content. I think I created 27, 28 PowerPoint presentations. So basically how to help people get in shape. Talking about the stuff I just spoke about there, like all this stuff. No one showed up, but it got me to practice all this stuff. I have now repurposed all of that, re-recorded it, and I now use it for my online clients as an educational video series. But that's the point. It made me practice talking about this stuff, getting comfortable. And that's what it's all about. So I'd like to thank you for actually reaching out. Because I said I was stalking you to build up the courage to reach out to you to get you on my podcast, sorry. So I couldn't believe it when you reached out to me. But so I just want to say thank you for actually putting me in front of your audience and allowing me to share my truths and the stuff that I do. It does mean a lot. And to have it again from America as well, it's mad how we can be communicating live on air in completely different parts of the world. Yeah, we've just exchanged a few Instagram messages. That's it. You know, I love you. I love you too.
I love it, man. It's beautiful. And yeah, I mean, my audience is like your audience. Like that's what I mean too, is just like connecting with so many amazing people. And like you said, if it wasn't for, you know, the coronavirus and all this stuff, none of this stuff would have happened. And like things just continue to get better and better in a way that I wouldn't even know how to ask for it, you know, like, so, you know, enough times this happens, and then you can finally begin to just shut the fuck up and let the process 100%. Do what it does.
100%.
That's beautiful, man. Brilliant. Well, dude, thank you so much. I love you. And yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll send you a couple of things for sure, resource-wise. And just let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah.
I'm a message away. And you know, much love and blessings there. And you're in Nottingham, correct?
I'm in Nottingham. Yeah, Robin Hood.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's awesome. I love that cartoon so much. We were filming something yesterday, and the guy actually sang one of the songs from that cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I won't be putting him in my sausage machine, so you're right.
I appreciate that. Well, dude, thank you so very much, man. And we'll be in touch. Thanks
100%.
everybody for watching this. There's a couple links, your old website's in the link, but I got your Instagram on there as well.
Awesome.
And you know, I'll throw some other stuff because I'm going to share this, and I'll throw some other links in the bottom.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Dude, thank you so much. And
Absolute pleasure.
We'll talk soon.